Okay guys, really quick video tutorial, well I hope it's quick anyway, on how to do the linear programming problems for your quiz on Thursday. You have to start with the objective function. You must read through the problem, maybe read through it 2 or 3 times to identify what you're given, okay? The objective function is the money stuff, all right? Because objective, like the word object, the object of the game here is to make money. We want to maximize our profit. So we're going to say the objective function is profit. It says he makes this much money on a small shed and this much money on a large shed. So you might as well let the small shed be X and the large shed be the Y. Okay, so I'm going to put that right on top of here. I'm going to call the small X and the large Y. So P equals $390 per small plus $520 per large. Right there is my objective function. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Now, you let the small shed be X and you let the large shed be Y. The next step is to make a table so you can get your inequalities. All right. So I'm telling you, if you make the table, this is going to work out great for you. If you don't make the table, well, I don't know what to tell you. Like, some of you do listen to what I say, and I appreciate that. But I'm telling you right now, if you do it this way, you're going to have less issues. This side over here, okay, this is going to be the materials. Anything you're using to make what you're selling. So sometimes, in this case, we're using drywall and studs. This is what we're using to sell these sheds, okay? Of course, that's not all that goes into it, but this is a very basic problem for linear programming purposes. So I'm going to do D for drywall and S for studs, okay? And then this last column over here is going to be the total. So if you make this be like a chart, if I go down the total and over here to drywall, this space right here is for the total amount of drywall that I have. Well, it does tell us in the problem. It tells us that he has available 60 sheets of drywall and 135 studs. Okay, there's your totals right there. So we're going to put the totals in. Drywall, 60. Studs, 135. Okay. So, and again, this is materials. What are we selling? Sheds. The small ones and the large ones. Okay. We want to know how many of each type, small and large shed. Okay, this is the small shed and this is the large shed. Or did I do that backwards? Small is X, so I'm correct, and large is Y. All right, now over here with the inequality, it has to be less than or equal to. Has to be, has to be, has to be. You can't use more than 60 if you only have 60. You can't use more than 135 if you only have 135. So you must put the inequalities in that form. Now, this line right here, and if you look up the chart, I'm small shed drywall. How many sheets of drywall do I need for a small shed? Go back up to the problem. It says 10 for small shed. So that's going to be 10x plus how many for the large sheds? 15 sheets of drywall for a large. 15y. Okay? And then the studs, you're going to do the same thing. This box right here is for the amount of studs you need to make a small shed. So 15 studs for a small shed, 15. You have to assign the variable with it. Add. And how many studs do I need for the large shed, 45. Okay, so there are 2 out of my 4 inequalities. And I'm telling you, if you make the chart, you're going to be able to do this on the test. The materials is whatever you're using to make, produce, grow, whatever it is you're selling. This up here is what you're selling. We're selling sheds, small ones and large ones. Okay, it's like the Kugelhopf cake and the Irish soda bread problem. It was whatever the ingredients were. I don't remember if it was milk and flour, milk and sugar, sugar and flour. I don't remember, but those are your materials. And then the different kinds, because that's what you're selling. You were selling the Irish soda bread and the Kugelhopf cake. All right. Now, you need those other inequalities to keep yourself in quadrant 1. Okay. I know this is not straight because I haven't written on this thing in a long time. Right? You want to be in quadrant 1. So this is going to ensure that I'm up here and I'm over here. So you need the x is greater than or equal to 0 and the y is greater than or equal to 0. That puts us in quadrant 1 for our feasible region. Okay? So now you're going to solve this inequality for y, the related equation, and this one, and you're going to graph. That's why there's no numbers on here, because you're going to have to scale this. These are bigger numbers, okay? So you might have to go by 10s, you might have to go by 5s, right? When you're done and you shade, because I'm not going to do this whole problem on here, when you find your vertices to substitute back up here into the objective function, it's going to say how many of each type of building should he make. You're going to say Bob should build X amount of large sheds and X amount of small sheds. What is the maximum profit? This is going to involve a sentence with dollar signs, money. Okay, make sure you're using the units. All right. So if you still have questions, please see Mrs. Newton or send me something in a message. Sorry, I had to pause that video. Anyway, use the chart, start with the objective function, and I think that it's going to work out for you. Re-practice the other problems from the textbook and from the worksheet and see if you can work through them fairly well. You have to identify the vertices and then substitute the x and the y from those coordinates into the objective function. All right. Hope I'm back soon. Take care. Bye-bye.